here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Campbell.
All right, and welcome to Kneecap Biting with Smoke and Jeremy B. This is the AFC and NFC North Reviews. I got my good friend Will Vogel, Brian Bestrilla de Thrilla, Keegan Eckert. We got Mike, and shortly we'll have Jordan again. Evidently, he's T-Mobiling. There he is.
What up?
I said,
Mr. Petalman.
we'll have Jordan again shortly. He must be T-Mobiling again.
Hey, I'm on T-Mobile. That's not fair, but I'm also on Starlink. So
Yeah, it helps when you got both.
Damn you.
Mike, who's your team?
hey, I'm a Packers fan since day one, but there's been some bad times. I won't say that.
It's all right. So who are you repping tonight?
Well, I'm always gonna rep Green Bay personally, but hey, that's just me.
We got Matt Henry in the chat. He's a Bears fan. I get fans of all the teams that pop in all the time. Jordan's seen it. I've had Ravens fans in the chat. I've had Bengals fans. I've had Patriots fans. Even before Jordan was a part of the show, Patriot fans were in the chat. But that's because I don't do the homer thing. I try not to go overboard or underboard with everything. So real quickly, we're going to start with the AFC North. It's just a window of wins. What do you think their floor of wins will be? What do you think their ceiling of wins will be? Type of thing.
Yep.
Who we got now? We got Mike Johnson. How you doing, Mike?
Doing good. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic. And who are you repping tonight, sir?
Oh, that would be that team from up north, the Minnesota Vikings, baby.
100%. I love it.
I got these people in last minute.
I love it. All right. Who dropped out on me? Oh, Keegan. Keegan. Oh, you just went off camera, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to start with the AFC North, of course. And like I said, it's a floor of wins to a ceiling of wins. So I'm going to start off with the bottom team from last year, which was surprisingly the Bengals. But that's mostly because Joe Burrow is more made of glass than Tua Tagovailoa. He's actually missed more games than the NFL. So, Will, what is your windows of wins for the Bengals?
Like you said, it's all about Joe Burrow's health. That's why I've got the floor at 9, the ceiling at 11, but I got him at 10 wins.
B?
10 wins. I don't think Cincinnati's going to be crap this year. They lost a good running back. Their defense is been peppered with losses, and their receiving core is all malaligned. Everybody wants to get paid, but nobody's paying them. It's going to be a very bad year for Cincinnati. I don't see them winning more than 8 games.
All right. Keegan?
I have the same window for 9 to 11, but I have them winning 9 games.
What do you think about the Bengals there, Mike?
Until they figure out the issue with Jamar Chase and what they're going to sign him for, losing Joe Mixon to the Texans. I mean, they just went back from back to a mediocre team. I'm thinking their ceiling is 7.
And not only that, let's not forget they lost DJ Reader to the Lions, who was the 4th best run defense tackle last year.
Yep.
So, and the other Mike, what do you think?
That is such a toss-up. I mean, they could go and run the gambit at maybe 12, but it depends if they can get their receivers happy. I'd say 8.
Jordan,
I'd say 8's the floor. And, yeah, 12's
okay,
the ceiling.
okay. What do you think about him, Jordan?
So as a guy here that lives in Cincinnati, obviously they lost DJ Reader, which was one of their biggest. That was obviously their biggest loss. To me, that was a bigger loss than them losing T. Higgins. Because when they signed DJ Reader, their run defense went instantly from like 31st in the league to like top 5, just by having DJ Reader. That's how good he is. But overall, I think the Bengals will beat the Steelers. So I think they'll get I'm going to say they win 9 games this year, but I think they have a ceiling of like 12 wins because Joe Burrow, when healthy, is proven to be one of the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks in the league. So if you have a top 5 or 6 quarterback, that's the issue though, is can Joe Burrow stay healthy? That's what it comes down to. But I can see their floor at like 6 wins because they got a decent backup in Jake Browning. But, I mean, he's not Joe Burrow.
Yeah, right. But that's the thing. That's the thing, though, is if he can actually stay healthy. You know, I mean, when he is healthy, yeah, he's a top tier quarterback, but he's proven that he can't. And unfortunately, their offensive line isn't there to protect him either.
Yeah, they've been improving that every year, though, a little bit.
They've been trying to improve it every year, and they haven't seen the results yet. Let's get it right, because so far, on paper, it looks like their offensive line is better every year, but it hasn't improved.
Well, it has gotten better because it went from the worst line in the league like the year they went to the Super Bowl, and then last year was like kind of towards like the 18 range. So it has gotten better. Their biggest issue is right tackle has been their biggest issue. I think Trent Brown is a more established starter for them. They signed from New England this year, so I think he'll be the best tackle they've had on that side since like all the way back to like Willie Anderson in the 90s.
So there was reports that came out in an interview with Joe Burrow that he was hiding the fact he had concussions to stay on the field during the 2 seasons he had his most health.
Real quick, too, there's also a rumor going around, I don't know how true it is, but they said that Joe Burrow might miss the first month of the season.
Right, because he's still recovering from the injury last year.
That's kind of the rumor around Cincinnati that he might not play the first 4 weeks or so of the season. So, because he hasn't
I think that might just completely ruin their entire season right there. I mean, 4 games without that potential is going to be huge.
So that is why I have my widest window of win margin with the Bengals themselves. Because of starting out like that, if they start out 0-4, then that demoralizes the team before Burrow gets there. They might only win 6 games. But their ceiling, if he's able to start right away, is 12. But I think it's going to settle in somewhere in the 8 and 9 range, just like they did last year.
Yep, I think they'll get Burrow for like a healthy 12 games, 11 games, and then they'll win some, they'll lose some. So I said 9 and 8. I think is what they'll finish.
Okay, my fake son just commented, and so I got to give it the disclaimer before I read the comment. The views and opinions of Jeremy Bullrich Jr. do not reflect the views of this channel, Kneecap Fighting with the Motor City Lions. First, James Burgess says, there is only one queen in the North whose name is Caleb.
He's in the new Disney princesses lineup.
Oh, my goodness. And he goes, Dad, question, would you sit Laporta for James Mitchell? Not if you had the money to pay James Mitchell's salary in full up front.
Not if JB was your real dad. So just to go back to Cincinnati real quick, their first 4 games of the season. You said he might be out of. That might be a rumor that he might be out a month.
Yeah, that's what the rumor in Cincinnati is, that he might be out a month.
Because they got New England the first game, Kansas City the second game, Washington and Carolina. Now they could come out of that. I think roughly 2-2.
I think that's at worst.
Possibly even 3-1. I mean, there's only one truly competitive team there, and that's KC. I mean,
The only thing that worries you about Cincinnati is they do start out slow. Even with Joe Burrow healthy, they kind of start out slow to begin the year. Since Jack Taylor's been there, they've like the first 4 years, they've always been a slow start to the season team. So, but I will say their schedule is very favorable. They don't have any division opponents. They got all kind of teams that are either rebuilding outside of Kansas City.
Well, that's what happens when you are the fourth place team in your division. You get a fourth place schedule.
No, you don't. The Patriots have the hardest schedule in the league.
Because everybody got better and you guys are still middling around trying to figure out what your quarterback situation is. But that's another story.
Well, we also got to play, to be fair, we also got to play the NFC East, which has at least two good caliber teams, and the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Right. I mean, Washington is the wild card in that division to me.
And even the Giants can be like an 8 or 9 win team if like everything goes right.
I mean, even the Cowboys in that division are definitely a toss-up. If they can't keep Dak Prescott happy, he may just sit. I mean, it seems like it's getting bad over there.
Let's hope for that.
Dallas is just in the first place now, so
So
they're going to really show their
Dallas ain't doing
colors
nothing
this
until they
year.
get out of Jerry world.
Now it's to the most consistent team for mediocrity. Oh, go ahead, Keegan.
So with this rumor out that Burrow might miss the first month, you got to think about how long after once he's back. He probably won't be back fully. He's probably going to have to deal with the mental problems with the injury, and it might take him a while to get back to where he was.
As long as he doesn't become another Daniel Jones, I think he'd be all right.
Well, if you think about it, and I'm going to say this, the Super Bowl season and the next season were his two healthiest seasons. That was his second year and his third year. And they did make the AFC Championship, but both times they started and they had bad scheduling, easy schedules, according to everybody, with bad opponents that they should have easily beat. And because Burrow struggled to throw and complete to his receivers, he completed a lot to the other team's corners.
Oh, I remember that first game against
Hey,
Pittsburgh
Yoli.
coming
Yeah,
off.
he threw like 5 interceptions.
Everybody's like, yeah, there's a Super Bowl hangover because they lost the Super Bowl in the very next game. The next year they played Pittsburgh to open up the year, and they had he had like 5 turnovers.
During that 1-4 run both years, he actually had almost, what was it? I know he had double digit. Wasn't it like the one year it was 11 interceptions, the next year it was 15 because he started off with that 5 interception game versus the Steelers?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was 5 turnovers. I think he had a fumble in that game.
Oh, so 4 and a fumble.
Yeah, I think it was 4 interceptions, and two of the 4 were pick sixes too. Like they
right.
were just,
I mean, they got out.
Yeah, and they still went to overtime.
And they still went to overtime somehow. Yeah, but at the same time, now we got to go to the most consistent team of mediocrity in that division, which is the Steelers.
The Tomlin boys.
And I'm going to start with you, Jordan. What is your window of wins for the Tomlins?
Well, they don't have a window. They just got a winning record, 9-8. They're probably going to be like an 8-1 team. For being fair, they're just always that like team that's like, oh, they're most boring to watch, but they somehow win 9 games. You're like, how are the Steelers in the playoffs? They look like the most boringest team in the NFL, but they somehow sneak in at 9-8 as a 7 seed or something.
It's been that way for the last 10 years or so, hasn't it?
And honestly, if Mason Rudolph kind of saved them a couple of games last year playing real well, or they probably don't go 9-8 last year. I will say this though, this is the thing. I'm gonna go on the limb and project that this is Tomlin's first losing season, because if you look at the Steelers wide receiving core, it's
not that good other than George Pickens.
It's George Pickens, and then it's like Scotty Miller, so it's not very good. There's a lot of Scotty Millers in that receiver room for the Steelers.
Before I go to Mike Johnson, I want to acknowledge the person in the chat, which is Yoli Cruz, a Packers fan. She says, hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? I hope you'll be having a happy 4th of July. I'm going to be having a fabulous, that's her birthday. Well, congratulations, Yoli. I hope you have a very blessed birthday, and I hope you enjoy the birthday of America tomorrow. So, Mike, what is your window of wins for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I honestly feel that the Russell Wilson of the Broncos is going to carry over to that. I mean, I think they got a steal when they picked up Justin Fields, and they're just going to misuse him. They're talking about him running back punts, and I'm saying, I agree. This is going to be Tomlinson's first losing season. I'm thinking 7 is going to be their ceiling. Because they're right. They don't have nobody to throw to. Secondary is weak, and I just think Russell Wilson is not going to be their answer over there. That's just my opinion.
Yep.
Shortest leash in the NFL, Russell Wilson.
It is a short leash, but they just put a lot of money and a lot of hopes and aspirations into him, and I just ever since he left Seattle with that big money in Denver, he just was kind of went downhill, and bouncing around. I don't think it's going to be the Russ that everybody's accustomed to, and I think it's going to be the same more picks than touchdowns type of guy again.
All right.
Here's one thing I will say though, that I think will give Russ a better. I don't know if he's going to be better, but one thing I think Russ, for a scheme advantage, I think this system will fit Russ better. Because think about some of those better Seattle teams; they were like more run, play action, let Russ kind of throw deep. Sean Payton put more on Russ's plate, let him run out of shotgun all the time. That's not really Russell Wilson's game.
Right. Arthur Smith is more of that play action type.
Yeah, he's more how Seattle ran it with Russell Wilson during the Super Bowl run. So I think that offense will at least fit him a little better.
I mean, possibly, but as long as he can, if he goes back to the good decision making and check downs and reading, reading secondaries instead of just throwing into coverage, I think he'll be all right. But I just don't see it.
Russ has definitely declined over the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh yeah.
Now let's get to Mike Marsh. I want to keep it rolling.
Yeah.
I mean, one of two things is going to happen there in Pittsburgh. Either Russell Wilson is going to have a reconnaissance. Can't even freaking talk. He's going to go back to a few years ago back in Seattle where he was actually doing something and maybe bring him to 11 wins. Or it's going to be he'll be benched by week 4. Fields will take over, and they're maybe 5 or 6 wins.
Right. Okay, Keegan.
Well, they're coming off of a season where they had Matt Canada and didn't really work out with him, and they're coming off of that. And who knows? Some players might be. Some players are probably going to be stuck. Are going to be stuck because the new regime coming in, and I honestly see them. They're going to play good on the field, but it's not really going to translate because I feel like they're an 8-win team.
Okay. B.
So I'm going to vehemently decline everybody's comments in here because, first of all, they got a better offensive line. That with the first 2 picks of their draft, they filled the needs just like the Lions did, where they had to get an offensive line to protect their quarterbacks. So their offensive line was a thing of priority in the draft, which they did well on, and I believe they did get a free agent in a draft. I mean, a free agent also as an offensive lineman. So they got their offensive line shored up. They got better quarterback play as far as Pittsburgh is concerned from last year. I think the offensive line is going to help them out, and their receivers aren't bad. I mean, this is the thing that we can again. It parallels that the Lions have to Pittsburgh are just about the same. They do have pretty good wide receivers. You forget they got Roman Wilson in the draft. He's going to make a good slot. I think he's going to be a pretty good slot. They got George Pickens, Quez Watkins, Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson's kind of old, but whatever. And they got Calvin Austin. They got to learn to utilize it. But considering the fact that they are they're going to be a run priority team based on Arthur Smith's offense, I don't think they got too much to worry about there. As long as the running backs stay healthy, they should be fine. I mean, health is always something that's going to happen. As far as their secondary is concerned, you guys forgot they got Deontay Jackson, Joey Porter. They did get Cameron Sutton back. Hopefully, they utilize him correctly like they did last
They got
time.
a good draft pick too.
And then they got
Mika.
the safeties. The safeties are Minka Fitzpatrick. They got Miles Killebrew. They got Jalen Elliott, Deshaun Elliott. I mean, they got a decent secondary. It's not crap. That number's going to be really thrown. And you remember they got T.J. Watt, Cameron Haywood. I mean, these are guys that are going to make a difference in the defense. I just don't see them being bad like that. I think they're going to probably be like the second, or they can even win the division. I think Baltimore is going to take a step back, but we'll get to that in a moment. And I'm not confident in Cleveland at all. So I would have to say that they're going to either be second or first. They're going to win 10 or 11 games.
Spoken Dad just joined the talk. Okay, Will, what's your take on the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, and don't forget they drafted a solid defensive player in the draft too. I think a linebacker from NC State. Pittsburgh did. I think their defense helps them win football games. I think they're. I got the window of wins real quick. I got them between 8 and 10. I've got them with 9 wins.
Well, my floor is what Mike Tomlin always does. It's 9 wins. Until he has a year where he gets less than 9 wins, I start there every year. Jordan's been here 3 years in a row doing this with me, and I start at 9 every year. And I think their ceiling is 11. I think they could end up at 10 wins just like last year. Somehow they managed to get to 10 wins starting 3 different quarterbacks. This year, they only got 2 that are worth starting.
Yep.
So I think that's where it's going to land. I think they're going to get about 10 wins because that defense wins them more games than their offense does.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah,
defense.
their defense is definitely good.
All right, on to the next team in the list, which is the Brownies. They got 10 wins last year with 5 different starting quarterbacks, with Joe Flacid taking a Viagra and coming off the couch to win them 4 to get into the playoffs. Where do you have them at, Will?
Between 6 and 8, I got them with 7 wins. I'm sorry, Deshaun is not Deshaun of old. I think the thing that keeps them in the games is their defense led by Miles Garrett. So I got 7 wins.
All right. D.
I'd have to say that they'll probably win about 8 or 9 games. I think them and Cincinnati will be fighting for last place in that division. It seems like they don't. I know if Deshaun doesn't get it done this year or doesn't make a splash, at least he's gone. They're going to try to do something to get rid of him. So he's got to come out and play. This Cleveland is just not aligned right now. They just don't have the right parts when they need them. They got the players. It's just like they don't have the right offense one time or the defense. Like the defense played spectacular last year, but the offense was bumpy. It don't make a difference if Deshaun was the quarterback or not. The offense was bumpy. So I don't know what's got to come together here, but I still see them finish, having a battle for last place with Cincinnati. 8 wins, maybe.
Keegan?
So, as of right now, I don't see Deshaun Watson playing a full season. And the backup is famous Jameis. And I don't see them doing much with Jameis except for the defense. And with Jameis, I could see 7 wins, maybe 2 wins between John with a 9-win game, 9-win team.
All right, Mike Marsh.
I got to say between 6 and 8 wins. I mean, Deshaun Watson has definitely shown that he is not the same quarterback as he was in Houston. So I just wonder if Cleveland is kicking themselves yet, because if they aren't, they sure as hell ought to be.
All right, Jordan.
I think I'm going to be the only one indifferent on this. Cleveland won 10 of 11 games last year
10.
with basically below average quarterback play. Nick Chubb got hurt week 2. Their best offensive player, he's back. I think the Browns are contended for this division. That defense is so damn good. I think the Browns are going to win 11 or 12 games.
Dang.
Because I don't think Deshaun will be 2020, but I think he'll be better this year than last year. And Nick Chubb coming back. Nick Chubb to me is the best running back in football. And then, like I said, they got an amazing defense. They got a top 5 defense in my opinion. So I think Cleveland will be in contention for the division. I'm gonna say anywhere between 9 and 12 wins. I'm gonna go with 11 though. I'm gonna say they could go 11 and 6.
All right. Mike Johnson.
I'm going to have to agree with the other guy. The whole team's going to come back healthy. Chubb is going to be healthy. I think Deshaun Watson's going to come back 100% healthy. He's going to have resurgent season. That defense, you're right. I mean, they're a top tier defense, top 5 at minimum. I'm saying they're going to win the division. They're going to go 13, win 13 games this year, and they're going to surprise everybody.
And don't forget, they also got Jerry Jeudy, which was an underrated sign.
Absolutely.
Been a little overhyped, but he's a good number 2 behind Amari Cooper.
I'm going to go this way. In the last 3 years, statistically, Jameis Winston has been 10 times better than Deshaun Watson. So he might be on a short leash this year, despite how much he's making. If he starts screwing the pooch like he did at the beginning of last year, they won't be as afraid to start their backup. That's what I was getting at there.
Yeah.
So
do you know what the Browns' record was with Deshaun Watson last year? As bad as he played,
weren't they 2-2 or 3-1?
No, he started 8 games last year.
Oh, did he start 8 games?
I think they were 6-2.
They were 6-2 as bad as Deshaun Watson played last year. They were still 6-2.
That's because of that defense. And
that's what I'm saying.
So I got their floor at 9 wins minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Good Lord, Orlando.
Oh no!
But that threw me off for a second. I think their floor is 9 wins, but their ceiling is 12.
That's what I said.
I just think they're that good of a team defensively. They shut teams down. That even their third starting quarterback won a game during his little 2-game stretch.
I think one of them
because it wasn't because he's Super Bowl.
I think one of them was the 49ers.
Yeah, they beat the 49ers. That's right. And that was Jerome. Was that Jerome Hill? Was that the backup running back that was running all?
No, it was Jerome Ford. Jerome
Ford. Yeah, I know.
Because I don't remember. I never seen the 49ers offense look that bad that game. That was the worst I've ever seen a 49ers offense look in a game.
It wasn't that when in the beginning of that game, Christian McCaffrey got hurt, and then the left tackle, Trent Williams, got hurt. Because that was when they had their 2-game skid versus the Browns in Minnesota right in the middle of the season, right?
Yeah, because Browns was their first loss, and then they turned around and got beat by Minnesota the following week.
Right. I just trying to remember the trend there.
Yeah.
I really think though that Kevin Stefanski, is gonna, with Deshaun Watson, he's gonna have to shit or get off the pot. You guys are right. So it's kind of the same scenario in Houston when he left out of there. He's gonna have a great year. Just remember we had this conversation. He's gonna be a good quarterback again this year.
I sincerely hope so. I know he's been at camp this year, which is a big difference from last year. Because last year he wasn't at camp because he was still recovering from the injury the year before.
Yeah. But he's been out, since week 10, week 8, something like that. So he's had time to recover. So I think he's going to be just fine.
Right. So now we're on to last year's AFC Championship #1 seed, Baltimore Ravens. Where do you have them at, Mike Johnson?
I think they're on the decline, honestly. I think they're, at best, their ceiling is 11. Their floor is 7.
Whoa.
All right. Jordan.
The the Ravens might have the highest ceiling in the NFL in the regular season, just because they're regular season warriors. They've had what, a 14-win season with Lamar Jackson, a 15-win season with Lamar Jackson since he's been the starter, and they're pretty much if he's healthy for 17 games, they're pretty much a guaranteed 11 wins. It's been proven every year he's been healthy. The issue is, if the years he hasn't been healthy and they had to go to Tyler Huntley, they won I think 8 or 9 games those 2 years that he didn't finish the year. But they were still, I think they were 8-3 the one year that he got hurt. I'm gonna say Baltimore wins. I'm gonna say them and Cleveland both get 11. So I'm gonna say both go 11-6, and I'm gonna say their floors at 10 wins, their ceilings at 14.
Mike Marsh?
I'm gonna kind of mirror what the last guy just said. I mean, if Lamar and Jackson and Henry can stay healthy, that two-headed giant is going to be absolutely lethal. Probably capping out at 14. One of them gets hurt, both of them get hurt. Low end 7 or 8.
Right. All right, Keegan?
That's the thing though with Lamar and Derek. They need an O line. I think they just lost their Russell Line and Zietler to the Lions. And I can see that I can see them taking a small decline, probably like a 11 and 12 win team.
B?
Yeah, I'd say about 11 games is their ceiling. Probably 9 is their lowest. I don't. It's just they lost a little bit on the offense. They did get Derrick Henry, but Derrick Henry can be stopped too. So it's not like he's Superman. They play in a very competitive. That's the thing about the AFC North. You can say all we want. We can say all we want about what these records of these teams are going to be, but in the AFC North, it don't make a difference. Everybody is close together at the end of the year. So people like Cleveland might win a division, or hell, Cincinnati might get a resurgence and win a division. You just don't know. You just go by what happens during the offseason. But any of these teams can get number 1 seed. They can be the best team in the AFC basically. But that's the funny thing about the AFC North.
Yep.
All right. Well,
I got their floor at 10, their ceiling at 12. I got them at 11. I still think that they're a strong team. I really like the addition of Nate Wiggins on their defense because I'm a Clemson fan and he balled out. And they still have Marlon Humphrey, who's a animal in the defensive backfield. So I got them at 11 wins.
yeah, they didn't lose much on defense, and defense is a big reason why this team won a lot of games last year.
Yeah.
I have their floor at
That's about the only guy they lost, so it's Patrick
right,
Queen.
but that's the only guy they lost, and they replaced him with a decent guy in the draft too.
Yeah.
So I got their floor at 10. I got their ceiling at the same as what they achieved last year, 13 wins. I think they are that team that can do that. But much like Joe Burrow, they beat Kansas City in the regular season and lost to them in the postseason. So that has been Lamar's biggest downfall. If you can say anything, he's like a better version of Dak Prescott. He'll win 1 or 2 games and just fail at the AFC Championship game.
Or the
I mean, taking a little bit on that, name a more consistent postseason team than KC, though. So that's not really
I
a
know.
knock against Baltimore, I don't think.
No,
Exactly.
exactly. Because look, even Joe Burrow, when healthy, is 1-1 in the AFC Championship game versus Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs. So
Yep.
they are the most consistent postseason team we've seen since the middle of the run for the Patriots.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, me
why
too.
why deny it? It is the truth. They
I mean,
come out.
the next closest run would be the Niners and the Cowboys way back when
The
if it
90s,
wasn't one of those two teams in the Super Bowl, that was it. I mean,
yeah, pretty much. You splash in Washington here and this team there in between them. And the
and the
Packers, even
Bills.
the Bills four times in a row with Jim Kelly. Oh, man, talk about disheartening, though. To be that good to get there and just not get it done. All right. So, I like I said, 10 to 13. I think that's where they're at. They might all sit. We might be talking about 4 teams at 10 and coming down to a flip or they're out of season record.
Oh,
I
jeez.
actually see this
Yeah,
because
because
of all
they
these
just
teams
all
that
take turns beating up on
continue
each
it.
other.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they beat if they just split with each other and win the games they're supposed to outside the division, all 4 teams could have a 10-win record.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would say that both the NFC and AFC North both have the greatest potential in having all 4 teams in the postseason.
It could happen, but the problem is
Unlikely, but possible.
it's possible, but unlikely. Yeah, that's where I'm at on it. And now we are to the NFC North. Why you guys are here? So teams we want to talk about. Well,
Yes.
we got to start in the basement, which Lions fans have been there for years. We swept it, we cleaned it out, we vacuumed it, and we handed the keys to Chicago. Where do you got Chicago Bears?
Me, I got them between 6 and 8 wins. I think they're a 7-win team. Yes, you got DJ Moore and um you got Keenan Allen, Keenan Allen, but I don't know. I just still think this team has a lot of gaping holes that they still need to fill to be contenders in the NFC and NFC North. So I got them at 7 wins.
Wow. Bistrella.
So I got them between like 7 and 8, maybe even 9 wins, depending on how Caleb plays. That's really what it comes down to with this
Exactly.
group. I mean, the offensive line still sucks to me. They keep saying they try to add people in there, but every year it still sucks. But they do have weapons. Their defense is pretty good. I mean, they were first against the rush so last year. So I mean, their defense is decent. Again, it has to deal with the quarterback and the running back. They can be a 7-win team, and Caleb could be just going through rookie phase, or they can be a 9 or 10 win team, and Caleb gets the offense right, and DeAndre Swift decides to stay healthy for the whole season.
For a
Those
second.
things happen.
All right, Keegan.
Uh, I'm gonna be the opposite of Will right now. They added these weapons for Caleb, even though I feel like Caleb he's in a good position to succeed. I think they definitely stepped up with their defense. I could see them as a 10-win team.
What?
Okay, Mike Marsh. On that take, we'll go to you.
I mean, Chicago has definitely been the team that I've been the most up and down on. I mean, they got a good defense, they got a good offense, they got good receivers. It all at this current time, I mean, depends on the hype. I mean, Caleb Williams could either lead this team to a 3-14 or a 14-3 season. Who knows? They're the biggest wild card in my opinion.
Wow. All right. Jordan.
So I'm about to make a bold proclamation right here.
Uh-oh.
3 teams in the NFC North going to make the playoffs this year: the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, and the Detroit Lions. The Chicago Bears won 7 games last year, right, with Justin Fields. Caleb Williams is better than Justin Fields. And they added Keenan Allen. And their best receiver might be Roma Doomsday.
Okay.
who
So what
I
do
got
you,
as one of the top guys to win Rookie of the Year this year.
so what do you got for a floor and a ceiling?
I think their floor is at least because I think they're better than last year. So I think their floor is 8 wins. I'm gonna say their ceiling's 12, but I'm gonna say they win 10 games. I'm gonna go they go 10-7 and get a wild card spot.
Okay, Mike Johnson.
I have to absolutely disagree. I think Caleb Williams was the 5th best quarterback in this draft. I think he's overrated, and I think it's the Ryan Leaf of modern era. I think they win 7 at best. I know they added, Keenan Williams. I know they did a lot to do it, but I just don't think he is the quarterback that everybody think he is. And I think that he's not going to be a 4,000-yard passer. The Bears haven't had a 4,000-yard passer, I think, in existence of their franchise, and he is not the Jesus of this team, and it's going to be a flop.
Hey, I got a quick question for you, Mike. Do you know who holds the record for most passing yards for the Bears?
I do.
I
I do.
want to. I want to say
I
honestly,
do.
Let him answer.
is it Doug Flutie?
No.
Can I tell them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jay Cutler.
No. No, he missed
No,
it by 25 yards. Will?
Oh, I knew who it is. I knew who it is. Now.
you've told me it's Eric Kramer.
Yes, the former
Oh, is it?
Lion went to the Bears and threw for 3,825 yards.
Yeah.
Jay Butler or Jay Cutler only got 3,801.
Oh, okay.
I
And that's
love
wanna
that
be Jay Cutler.
nickname.
and that's what I'm saying. I mean, they've got a lot of great players on there, and everybody's hyping Caleb Williams up, but I just don't see it, guys. I really don't. If I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I really feel it. If you look at it, this is like when Ryan Leaf got drafted by the Chargers. Everybody thought he was going to be the apocalypse of football, and he came in and he was just an absolute bust. And I really think that this is what it's going to be.
I agree.
Bottom line sports.
Is he going to be a Ryan Leaf or is he going to be a Manziel?
Both.
I mean, I live in Texas. I grew up in Minnesota. Johnny Football at Texas A&M, which is about 30 miles from me, was great. If he could have kept his head right and stayed off the drugs and stayed off the alcohol and stayed out of clubs, he would have been a great quarterback. But I really think he's going to be a Ryan Leaf. He's gonna be a two-year guy, and he's just going to bust out.
All right, bottom line sports says the line is 8.5 for the Bears. I'll have to take the Bears for a 9-win team. Caleb is not Ryan Leaf type bust, but he's also not Mahomes. And I think
Who is though? I mean, who is Mahomes? You know what I'm saying?
Well, Caleb Williams really wasn't a system quarterback because Lincoln Riley doesn't have a set system, as you noticed, because he had Jalen Hurts when he was at the other school, and he used them in that air raid run and shoot type of system. And then this system was more of a pocket passing system, which he escaped when necessary. If the USC O line could have protected Caleb a little better, they probably would have had a better season. But at the same time, what he struggled with against all the top defenses, which was like what, 4 of those 12 teams in the Pac-12 before it became the 2-pack this year. He had struggled with reading and reacting. And if you look, and this is why I said this during the draft, that Brendan Rice was actually a better receiver than a 7th-round pick. Because if you look, he was bailing Caleb Williams out on bad passes. He had that big catch radius for a guy that's 6'2" and 210 pounds.
My favorite player actually on the USC offense was that running back, Marshawn Lloyd.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a question for everybody on this panel. With these same weapons and Justin Fields as a quarterback, what would you give the ceiling for Chicago in this particular instance?
13.
If it was Justin Fields, because of the way you saw his progression, if you what was it, 3 wins the first year, then 5 wins, and then now he got him to 7 wins, right?
Yeah,
He
half. He kind of got them to 7. They had a couple of wins with that Badgett guy or whatever.
Right. They went 2-1 with Badgett, or 2-2 with Badgett. because Badgett actually for 3 games straight didn't throw an interception, and
Yeah.
Justin Fields was just about. They were saying he was going to be ready the next week. They said, "Well, if he has one more good game, we might have a problem to talk about." And he goes out and throws 3 interceptions in the first half. They're like, "Yep, they're going with Fields the rest of the year,"
Yeah, he actually played well down the stretch last year. I will give him that.
and he did. If you look, Justin Fields was not the reason that Chicago was losing games.
Yeah, he wasn't.
But the play calling was, especially in that first Lions game at Detroit. If you actually watch, they pulled the San Francisco 49ers second half versus the Chiefs, and they did exactly what the Lions did in the third quarter versus 49ers in the playoffs. They stopped running the ball, they got pass happy, and we were playing that weird zone where it looked like man, and that is not Justin Fields' forte.
If they if the Bears would have adapted the same style of offense that Justin Fields had at Ohio State, and I'm a big Bucs fan, I love him. He would have been probably the most successful quarterback, in there. But they tried to change, who he was. I mean, he was a number 1 draft pick. They should have just adapted to his strengths, and they would have been just fine.
Right.
That's what I was saying. The whole that after that first season, that's what I was saying. They're not adapting to what he is. Now now if he was there and he had all these weapons, granted the offensive line still isn't the greatest, but he's got more weapons to throw to. You remember he's got 2 great tight ends now. He's got Kmet and Everett.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I look at Justin Fields no different than like Cam Newton. I mean, almost a run first offense would have fit him good, and just Chicago wasn't doing it.
Yeah, I mean he would have been great in an RPO offense, but they just never did that. I mean, the dude is basically a running back who can throw the ball, and if they would have adapted to that, they would have been in the same talk as the Lions and the Vikings this year.
But
I think, I think Justin Fields could have been the next Mike Vick if they would have designed the offense around him.
100%, 100%.
I got their floor at 7, but I do have their ceiling at 10 because of the defense. It's not because of the offense and what it has on it. Until I see that offense on paper and I see them actually protect the quarterback better. And everybody says, "Oh, but Justin always extended plays and ran and got tackled outside." I said, last year he was flushed out of the pocket more than he was in the previous seasons because that O line was atrocious. So marginally better on paper, the interior O line with the guys they added. If you look at the rankings, everybody they added is 2 to 5 spots above what they had. So it's marginally better, but until we see it come together and play, it takes time for an O lineman to gel a lot of times with new pieces. And there might be some struggles early. And Caleb's nowhere near as athletic as Justin Fields. Nowhere near.
Caleb is going to be that Caleb Williams is going to be running for his life.
Oh, he will be.
yeah, depending on the defense he faces.
Yeah.
Burgess says
Yeah.
Fields will benefit from better coaching in Steelerville.
You're
Especially
running
that won't be Canadian football. And he's talking about Matt Canada.
Blame Canada.
Caleb
when I
run
saw
into
the
the top.
Steelers, when I saw the Steelers offense last year, and I was watching Matt Canada, I was like, "Holy crap! He stole Matt Nagy's playbook. It's the Tecmo Bowl playbook."
Right.
It was a bomb, a screen, a run left, run right, halfback dive up the middle, and that was about it. And then punt or field goal. That's what they ran last year with Matt Canada.
Yep.
All right, so we're on to Minnesota next?
We are on to the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm going to start at the bottom with Mike Johnson. And here, I'll even say it for you, Skull.
Let's go.
Because I know.
So, yeah. So the main question I have is, if the Vikings run with Sam Darnold and having Justin Jefferson signed and happy, having Jordan Addison, having a healthy running back. I mean, they're talking about bringing back Cam Akers. I know that they just signed Tannen. We're not going to get T.J. Hawkinson back until week 4? They're saying.
Yeah, week 4 to week 7 is what they're saying, somewhere in that.
You know, having a revamped defense, everything that they've done. I mean, I think Minnesota, in realistic numbers, if Sam Darnold's our quarterback, I have us as a cap or a ceiling of 10 and a basement of probably 7. Now, if we switch it, and what I think they should do is let JJ McCarthy rip. You know, I mean, look at the success of all the young quarterbacks that came in the league. Look at what Joe Burrow did his freshman year. You know, look at everybody else. The kid is a clock manager. He's a game manager. We can do it. I think if we put JJ in, we have a ceiling of 11 and probably a basement of 7.
I'm going to rebuttal that a little bit because Joe Burrow, his rookie year, actually only played 5 games and missed the rest of the season with a badly hurt leg.
Correct, but in them 5 games, he went 4-1, did he not?
It wasn't due to Joe Burrow. It was due to Joe Mixon because Joe Burrow started out like he always does. He was throwing interceptions right away.
The Eagles were bad in Joe Burrow's rookie year. That's how they got Jamar Chase, the 4th pick the following year, 6th pick.
Yeah,
that's true. Yep, you're right. I'm sorry.
They won
100%.
They were bad in Burrow's rookie year. I think they only won 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, they won 4 games total for the season. They won 2 with Burrow in the first 5 games before he was hurt.
Yeah, because they were bad. I remember they were bad because they got Jamar Chase in the top.
Yeah, you're right. I just think we gave up so many different draft picks. We moved up to get JJ McCarthy. We need to play him. I know we got Sam Darnold on 1 year, $10 million. But let's see what the kid can do in preseason. If he strives in preseason, let's put him out there. This is our quarterback of the future. Let's let him get through his lumps. Let's stand behind him as a team and let's just move. I mean, Flores has got this defense is going to be dialed in this year, you guys, and I really think Minnesota is going to be the surprise, of the NFC North. Everybody's thinking that we're going to be, the bottom of the tier, but I really honestly believe, that this team is going to do great this year.
Okay. All right, Jordan.
I like Minnesota's defense. Obviously, Flores, to me, he should be one of the next head coaches with a job. What he does, I think he kind of got a bad deal in Miami, but I like what he did on defense with Minnesota last year. And then they drafted they might have got the steal of the draft getting the guy from Alabama, Dallas Turner. And did they retain Danielle Hunter?
Yeah, no, Danielle Hunter went to Houston.
Ooh, yeah, that's a big loss because he was like 33 and still getting 15 sacks. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like their defense. Obviously, the offense, I think it's going to digress a little bit because Kirk Cousins is top, half of the league quarterback, and he's a veteran. So I think they're going to digress on that a little bit. And then can Justin Jefferson stay healthy this year? It's a big factor. I will say they have a better running game this year with bringing in didn't they bring in Aaron Jones?
Aaron Jones, and they're bringing back Cam Akers, I heard today, too.
So that is definitely a better running back, and I like their tackle in Christian Darrisaw. But I think the Vikings are going to finish last. I don't like either one of their quarterbacks. Darnold's okay, I guess, if he's in the right system, but I just don't trust him.
Real quick. Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
The custom drip Justin Jefferson helmet. Oh, wait, it gets better. That is a custom iced out Rams, but it's Cam Akers.
So I mean, here's the thing. I was so heartbroken when Cousins left, over them telling him that we were going to draft a quarterback. I felt that he could have stayed another year and mentored, but I really feel that he is going to do great in Atlanta. But
yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, I love Captain Kirk. I mean, I absolutely adore him. I've got 5 of his jerseys hanging in my closet right now. But I mean, it's a business. and he finessed the Eagles, and then I think that Penix is actually going to take over about mid-year for him, and we'll just see how it is, and we'll see who gets the last laugh.
I think that but on Minnesota, I don't like it. Like I said, I don't like either one of their quarterbacks. I think McCarthy needs to sit at least a year. He's 20 years old. And he was. I mean, he makes some clutch throws in Michigan. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't asked to do what some of the other top quarterbacks were: throw the ball 40 times a game and carry the team. So I don't think in this offense, I don't think just yet, at least, I don't think McCarthy can go in and carry Minnesota. I don't think he's ready for the NFL yet. So I think he needs to sit at least a year and learn from even though it's Arnold, but at least he's learning from a guy that has been there. He can learn some stuff. So I think Darnold's going to start a lot of the year.
They've already pretty much said Darnold's going to be the starter.
I'm going to say Minnesota gets, because I do like their defense, so I'm going to say they're a 6-win floor, and I'm going to say their ceiling's 9 or 10 wins. But I'm going to go in the middle and say they get 7 or 8. I'm going to say 8. I'm going to say they go 8, 9.
All right, Mike. Marsh.
I got to say the biggest win the Vikings had this offseason was those alternate uniforms.
They were bad.
But I really, I agree. I really don't like Sam Darnold. His history is definitely going against him. J.J. McCarthy is definitely a question. But, I mean, any offense with Justin Jefferson is going to do something. I mean, but I'd say 8 and 9.
All right.
Well, kind of rebuttal that real quick. And I've been a Vikings fan since '76. Minnesota Vikings, who were washed-up quarterbacks, go to have one great, absolute, phenomenal year. So maybe we can hope for the best. Yes.
I'm sorry, as a Packer fan, that one hurt me the most, but I had to say it.
I love being I love being on the winning end of them last-minute comebacks, and I'm sorry, but the best time of my life is when we beat Green Bay every single time.
All right, Keegan.
I'm just gonna scowl.
Hey, you'll like her sponsor.
Let's go, Cal.
I think that
go ahead.
the Vikings improved, but I just don't see it with them. They're a wild card to me. They could easily have a 6-win. They can easily have a 6-win season, but they could with Justin Jefferson, Dallas Turner, and Jordan Addison, they could easily have like a 12-win season. So they're just a wild card to me.
All right. What do you got, B?
Well, there's a one that I really agreed with was James. What is that?
They right there. Viking are what this year?
Yeah, the Vikings are the what's it this year? It could be 5, it could be 10, because it's based on quarterback play. It's also based on the new players they have on defense. So I like to still see them. I mean, they're going to be between that cushion there, 5 or 10. I mean, 9 or 8 wins is something that I can see as a reality. But they could. I mean, they got that cushion. You just don't know what these quarterbacks are going to be capable of doing. And I agree with Mike. John, he said you need to start McCarthy. You drafted him number 1. I've always been a proponent of that. You draft somebody number 1, they need to be starting. There's a reason why you drafted them number 1. Start them, and you got to go through. And if they do, I mean, they might go through rough patches, but could be 5 wins, could be 10. We don't know. So I'm gonna cut that in half and go like for about 8 or 9.
Will?
I got them between because they're still, yes, their defense is solid, but losing Danielle Hunter hurts. Yes, you have Jay Jetta and you have Jordan Addison and you have Aaron Jones, but the question is at quarterback in both McCarthy, you don't know what he's going to be, and then Darnold, we know his past isn't good. So I got them between 5 and 7 wins. I got them at 6 wins.
Hey, but everybody's saying we lost Daniil Hunter, but look who we got from the Texans. He's a younger Daniil Hunter. He had 16 and a half sacks last year. So we really didn't lose anything.
I forget who that is. I'm trying to think.
They got Greenard, Jonathan Greenard. Is that who it is?
Jonathan Gennard.
Yeah.
And like I said, I live in Houston, and I am a season ticket holder for the Houston Texans. I go watch these guys. Jonathan Gennard, in my opinion, is a young Daniil Hunter. You got a guy who's 6 years younger than him and put up the same amount of numbers. So we really didn't lose anything. We gained.
So I'm going to tell you the real reason
Different
why
defenses too. Remember that.
Quezzy signed Sam Darnold. It's because he found out that Sam Darnold named the ghosts he sees on the field Jordan and Justin.
Yeah.
But other than that, I got their floor at 7 wins. I don't think they get worse than they did last year, but I got their ceiling at 10. And I'm not going to settle it in because it's the biggest wild card, like everybody said. You just don't know. But I don't see them doing worse than last year if anybody starts the entire season.
Very true.
That's fair.
Because that defense is good enough to win them a couple games. But the
Mhm.
offense has the weapons, but we don't know what we're going to get out of either QB. And as a Michigan Wolverine fan, I'm going to tell you right now, I thought McCarthy should have stayed in college another year. He needed to get better at reading and decision making. Even in college, you saw it for as many wild throws as he had, he would have that just as many per game. What the fuck throws?
And as a Michigan fan, Michigan was a run first team.
Yep.
Heavily.
There's a reason why when Harbaugh was out, who was the one that develops the plays for J.J. McCarthy? During that time, J.J. never threw more than 25 passes a game during those 3 games that Harbaugh was suspended and away from the sideline. They ran the ball 50 to 70 times.
Well, and everybody remembers the Penn State game where they ran it like 40 times straight.
40 straight.
On the flip side of that,
The ball off Blake Corum.
And then
on the flip side of J.J. McCarthy, though, usually his games that were bad were against terrible ass teams because he wouldn't go out there and not even try. I could see it.
Yeah,
But when he
Oh,
played
I
like
mean,
Ohio States and Penn States and Alabama's, dude was on. So he plays good in good games. It's just those lazy games that you can win those games that he's going to have a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
So,
always been a problem though with just about every team is, hey, look, we're going to play down to our competition and then fall on our face because for reasons.
So we're basically the Vikings are going to play bad if JJ McCarthy plays against Detroit, Chicago, and Green Bay, and then everybody else he's going to play good against, right?
Pretty much.
Well, we can only hope. We can only hope.
All right. So since the next team was second place in the division, we're going to start with Mike Marsh right in the middle. The Green Bay Packers. Be realistic. I'm going to give you my realistic take on my team too.
I mean, riding off of what they did at the last half of last season, the pickups that they got for from free agency, the draft. I mean, I can see them 12 wins, maybe 13 at the top end. Sorry, I'm getting photobombed by my kids here. At, at the low end, 8.
I like that realistic window. I do. Because you said that the reason why I say that that's a realistic window before I go any further to the next person is because we saw what Jordan Love was without Aaron Jones at the beginning of the season after the Chicago Bears game. Without a good, solid running game, he struggled bad. Once the running game got good, he was fine. And it all hinged at week 8 when Aaron Jones came back. That's when the turnaround started to happen.
Yep.
And so I'm not knocking Jordan Love. Nowhere did I knock Jordan Love there. But much like most game manager QBs, they need all aspects of the offense to be working right to have a good game.
Yep.
Oh, are you muted, bud? It looked like you were talking.
I'm muted over here talking to the crew that is just bombing me now. So
Gotcha. All right, Mike Johnson, let's get your take on the Packers.
Uh, God, I hate to say this, but I mean, I honestly feel with the pickup of with Jacoby Jones and what they've done in the offseason and their draft.
Jacoby.
I
He met Josh
my-
Jacobs.
I mean Josh Jacobs. I'm sorry. I see the Packers going 10-7. I really do. They're going to be a decent team. As much as that hurts my heart to say, um, they got a good quarterback. In Jordan Love. He just needs to have an offensive line that's going to protect him. Let him do his thing. I see their ceiling at 10. I see their downfall at 7. So they're going to be right in the mix as a wild card.
Oh, all right, Jordan.
So the Green Bay Packers, I mean, it depends I guess what Jordan Love we're getting, because Jordan Love at the end of last year was one of the best quarterbacks in football down the stretch. I mean, I think he threw like 1 interception in the last 8 games. I mean, until the 49ers game, he kind of looked bad at times in that game. But
well, the last half of the season. Sorry to interrupt here. The last half of the season, he had the highest quarterback rating than any quarterback in the game.
yeah, I think they said over the last. I think it was over the last 8 games. He had like an 18-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
Right
there, down the stretch. He played really well in that playoff game against Dallas, and then the next week we're like, "What? Green Bay's in the NFC?" Just like that, they're like a play or two, 1 or 2 throws away, and they're in the NFC Championship playing Detroit.
Right.
I mean, they should have really beat the 49ers that game. I mean, they had that game won really. And then Jordan Love made he was kind of a rookie last year. That's what people don't realize. Like, yeah, he's been in the league for like 4 years still, but he was still considered like a rookie last year. It was his first year. I think that's another reason why he played better at the end of the year. He was getting acclimated in the Green Bay offense. And I think he was able to do well because Green Bay doesn't have a true number 1. They got a lot of number 2s on that roster, like Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs. They don't have a true number 1.
They got
Jerron Reed is kind of their number 1.
Yeah, but he's not a true alpha number 1. He's not a
No.
Justin Jefferson, a Jamar Chase. He's not a top like Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's not those type of guys. Like he's not going to put up 1,400 yards every year.
Right.
Yeah, but I to kind of comment on that. I mean, I watched him a lot at NDSU when he played up there, and if he has the ability to be the number 1, he will be the number 1. They just never found their groove with who they thought was going to lead that offense, other than Jordan Love. So I think this year coming in, I really think Christian Watson is going to put up big numbers, honestly.
But at the same time, that's also hard to defend. If you got a guy that's spreading the ball around the 4 guys that are all putting up 700 yards each, that's kind of hard to defend too, because they're not. You can't be like, hey, we're dictating coverage on this one guy and doubling him.
Yeah,
everybody else is putting up 700-800 yards. You're good.
You're right.
I got a quick comment before I get to Keegan. I hate Packers, but know football pretty good, and they have some good young pieces in a young man's game. And he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. They are the youngest team in the NFL this year. So that being said, let's go to Keegan.
First of all, I think Jordan said that they were a wild card. To me, they're going to contend with the Lions right now. I see them having a 12-win season.
I didn't say they're a wild card. I said they'll make the playoffs.
Oh, I said they're a wild card.
Yeah,
and I'm standing behind it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Packers and the Lions are probably going to, honestly, if I had to do a prediction, I think they're going to come down. It's going to come down to like a tiebreaker. It's going to be that close.
They're going to contend.
I do think this division got a lot harder. Even Minnesota, I think, got a little better. I think they're the bottom team, but I still think they got a little better. Chicago got significantly better, and then obviously Green Bay and Detroit are 2 good teams from last year. So I think that division is going to be close. That's why I said I think 11 and 12 wins.
Let me get Keegan.
Okay.
To add on to that, yeah, they're going to contend in the regular season, but when it comes to the playoffs, they're going to miss Aaron Jones. and that's when
Yeah, they are.
they go.
I disagree with that. I don't think they're going to miss Aaron Jones at all. I mean, they got somebody younger. Yeah,
Better.
sure has an injury history, but they got somebody younger, and yeah, I don't think they're going to miss Aaron Jones at all.
Well,
Yeah, I
Playoff
think he got
Aaron
better running
Jones.
back. I'll give
I,
him
I,
that.
Josh Jacobs may be the better actual running back, but Aaron Jones is more the all-around type of running back. One thing
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs does not do well is he does not receive the ball as well as Aaron Jones did. And he also does not like to block for his quarterbacks as much as Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon does. So
Thank you.
that is something to consider as well. But what is your window of wins for him, you said there, Keegan?
Uh, about 9 to 12.
9 to 12? Okay. All right,
Wow.
B. We're up to you, bud.
So, as James stated about hating the Packers, I don't necessarily hate. I don't like any team in our division but the Lions. Obviously, that comes with the territory. But at the same time, I do respect the teams in our division. And Green Bay is going to be the only team that I could say is going to get better than they were last year
Mm-hmm.
by at least 2 or 3 games. So they could be, 11-6 or 12-5. I believe the ceiling is high for Jordan right now. He's got the weapons. He ended the last year real well. Hopefully, he can pick it up again. Josh Jacobs is definitely a better weapon than Aaron Jones is. I'm not really worried about the blocking ability of Josh Jacobs because you got a pretty decent offensive line anyway. Um, and the defense is going to come back and play better because who they lose last? Didn't they lose what's his face last year, Mike?
They lost
Uh,
Jair Alexander for like 5 games.
they lost the guy from Michigan too,
Rashawn
Gary.
Gary.
They
Didn't
lost
they?
Gary, Sean
Well, they
Gary. He's a
also
big part of their defense.
picked up Xavier McKinney, I think, in free agency. The
Yeah, he's
safety.
the best safety
He's
in
the
the
highest.
Yeah,
I believe
they
he's the
did.
highest paid safety
They
now.
did lose Dobbs too. Dobbs too was a free. A signing in the middle of the season by Buffalo. But I mean, the secondary is okay. I'm not a big Jair Alexander fan, so don't let me go off on that tangent. But the rest of the defense is really good, and they signed McKinley. He's one of the best safeties out there. So I don't see anything going down. I don't see a low point for Green Bay. I think their low point would be with the record that they had last year, was be 9 wins. But I do see them improving at least 2 to 3 games and
Well,
contending for the division title.
who the
Well,
Packers
Hey.
lose to Jacksonville?
Jeremy, has everybody said their
no,
Not
we still
me.
got Will and myself to go yet.
okay? When you do it, show the brand.
Oh, our brand, the sponsor? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's at
After
the
we get
end.
done with this, I'm going to do this. No, after we can do it this, we can do that sponsor. That's no problem. But go ahead, Will.
Yeah, I think Packers are definitely going to contend with the Lions. I got their window of wins between 9 and 11. I got them at 10 wins, but I still think they'll be the second best team in the NFC North.
James Burgess says Tom Crosby did finally get his safety, albeit but not through the draft. But
Right.
anyway, uh, I personally don't have them doing less than they did last year, and they had 10 wins because a 9-win team did not get into the playoffs last season the way everything shook out. So they had 10 wins last year. That's my floor for them. They didn't get worse. Um, they did do a little bit of that retool where it seems like where they got better at one side, they got worse on the other with all their signings. But their draft was solid. I like Jordan Morgan. I still agree with a lot of the Packer guys that was on panels live during the draft. Why didn't we draft Cooper DeJean? I do agree with that because the offensive line depth was very deep in the draft, and I think they could have waited. And Morgan was supposed to fall around where they picked in the second round. I think they could have had Cooper DeJean in the first. And I think I am going to say this because it was funny. I saw the report where Gutekunst called Brad Holmes a villain for trading in front of him to get Arnold because he wanted him. and I thought that was hilarious. But I still say they got a 10 to 12 win window. I think that's where they're at. I think their floor is 10. I think their ceiling is 12. I don't think they regress because every time they lost something, they added something of equal value or a little better, and maybe on the other side didn't add as much, but they still kept it all at that same level overall, talent wise.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he
very,
goes,
very
Jay
good.
Bridges says, and I thought the pack drafted pretty darn good too, damn it. But anyways, now we have to do it because this is a sponsor that I have, and no, they don't pay us, but it's fun for all the Lions fans. And Mike Marsh, you're gonna hate it.
FTP.
It's FTP. What does that stand for? Fuck the
Fuck
pack.
the Packers.
Everybody's got to hate the best team historically in the NFC North. Come on now.
Hey,
But we all can agree with the FTP.
I thought you would. But at the same time, the two best records versus the Packers over the past 10 seasons, we can all say it's not the Bears.
No, we can all agree with that.
The
We can say
Bears
that
still
the
suck.
Lions are 500 and the Minnesota Vikings are
The
actually playing
Bears.
about 500 over the last 10 years.
Mhm.
The
And
Bears.
I think that's pretty
Go
amazing.
Bears.
Davey comes in and says FTP. Jay Bridges says file transfer protocol forever. And I when I'm live on the Roku app, I can't use the word fuck, evidently. So I say fornicate the Packers for the pride.
Log the porpoise.
Or flog the porpoise. Yes, there's many different things
Log the
FTP
porpoise.
stands for. But now we are to our favorite team in this chat because,
At
well,
least for
there's
four of
four
us.
Lions fans here versus the three other.
Your favorite team.
Yeah,
Your,
our, as in the four guys other than you and Mike Johnson and Jordan.
And Jordan.
Yeah, they're my new
I think
favorite
I
team.
think I got roped into this because I was a Vikings fan.
Hey, I didn't.
I straight out volunteered for this, so I mean I'm good.
It's
Hey,
the
I do
NFC
too.
I'm
North.
not
It's the
going to pay
NFC
for this.
North, you
I
know.
do it because
Yeah.
I love talking football. But we are going to start. I'm going to start with Mike Johnson. What do you think about the Lions? We're going to start at the bottom and work our way up again.
Man, I really think this is a young team. St. Brown is a great receiver. Goff is coming into his thing. I hate to say this, but yeah, they are going to reign in the NFC North for a little bit. I seen a thing earlier. One of my buddies on TikTok posted it. That Dan Campbell is running the same gauntlet as Ditka did. If you look at his first year, his second year, what he's doing, I honestly believe that the Lions are going to go to the Super Bowl this year. The sky's the limit for them. I put their ceiling honestly at 15. I put them, probably at the lowest 12. And this hurts my soul to say it, but they're a great team, and you got to give respect where respect is given. And they did a lot of great moves in the offseason, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with for the next 2-3 years. Honestly.
Thank you.
I think for more than that, but yeah.
Uh, I mean,
Jordan.
in the NFC North, though, you really don't have that big of a reign. You have 2 or 3 great years where you're going to run, and then it's just like when the Packers had their runs with Favre and Jennings and all them guys, and then the Vikings came back, and then it was the Packers, and it's going to be a back and forth, and the Vikings won 3 years, NFC champions, and then the Packers. So it's going to be a back and forth. But right now, it is the Lions' time to reign, and that's just as honest as I can be with it. They're a great team, and I've got nothing bad to say. Dan Campbell's really turned them around, and you guys should be proud of your team.
Thank you, Mike. And the only thing I'm going to say, the only problem you guys had when you had your 3 NFC North championships in the row is that you had Kirk Prescott as quarterback. I'm just saying that because of his postseason success. George,
I
Don't talk about his guy. That's his guy.
I'm just being funny. But
Uh,
George,
I like Kirk too.
so the Lions, I got their floor at 10 wins. I got their ceiling at 13. They are playing a first place schedule. You got to keep that in mind. They went from a fourth place or a third place schedule last year to first this year, so they do got that. And then I do like their offense though. Obviously, Goff's a good upper game manager quarterback. You got the two good running backs and Gibbs and what's the other guy's name?
Montgomery.
Montgomery, yeah. And then Laporta had 1,000 yards last year.
Almost.
just under 1,000 yards, but 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, so I think he could go for about the same this year. And then you got my breakout guy for the Lions this year is Jamison Williams. I think he's
Let's go.
this year. I don't think breakout like 1,300 yards breakout. I think like 900. But I think and then there's a stat. I don't know if you guys seen it. Aiden Hutchinson has 4 interceptions, which is more than Sauce Gardner. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. That the guy's only played 2 years and already has 4 picks. How many defensive linemen got 4 picks in the NFL right now?
Not many
in their career, and he's probably one of the only 2 or 3, and he's only been in the league.
And Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah,
JJ Watt.
JJ Watt too. Yeah.
Yeah, JJ Watt. He got the last one from Matt Stafford that year in that game.
I think that was a pick 6, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
I think the Lions got close to that ceiling. I got them at 12-5 and winning the NFC North, just over Green Bay at 11-6. So,
okay. Mike Marsh.
As much as I hate to say it, I'm actually gonna, for the most part, agree. I do think that right now Detroit has everything together. The biggest thing the biggest thing in their way is Tate. I mean, Dan Campbell is obviously the greatest coach that they've had in ever. And just the life that he has brought to that team. They are a force to be reckoned with, and I don't think Jared Goff is that great of a quarterback, but let's be honest. A good coach can coach a mediocre quarterback to a great team. So I'm going to say low end 9, high end 14.
All right.
Keegan. Well, both Mikes kind of just pitched the whole thing about the Lions. So honestly, we just had a great offseason. And I think we're the same team, just a nice step up. Just a nice 12-5 team. Win the division. Possibly, I'm not saying we will, but might make it to the Super Bowl.
Oh, all right, B.
I honestly think if it's going to happen for the Super Bowl, it's going to be this year, at latest next year, and then it's probably closing the window.
Okay.
And that's what I was saying. You get a 3-year run in the NFC North. If you don't do it in the 3 years, you're back down to like where we are right now. So,
right. Okay, B.
So I don't see the Lions doing worse than they did last year. In fact, I think they improve on their record. I think their low is 12. I think their high is 14, maybe 15. But I'm going to say 14 because I'm not going to be like that. The thing about the Lions that you have to understand about is that we're all amazed ourselves as Lions fans because, we haven't seen this ever. At least since I've been around. So, and that's 55 years. So I've never seen this team do well. I mean, Barry Sanders years, but I'm talking about where the whole team is in rotation and with each other. And as far as the run that they can do, as long as they keep the same staff that they have, albeit maybe not the offensive coordinator or the defensive coordinator, As long as they keep with Coach Dan Campbell, and they keep with Sheila Hamp, I think that team is going to be a powerhouse for a while. I'm not going to say they're going to win a division every year. That's not even possible in this division. But I know it's going to be more competitive than the Lions have ever been in this division. And I think that's the reason why the NFC North has gotten a lot better, because people are surprised, and now that they just hate the fact the Lions are going to be doing good in their division. It's like, oh hell no, not the Lions! Damn, we got to depend on Vikings and the Packers, and maybe sometimes the Bears, but the Lions, oh god. So there you go. That's why the NFC North is getting more competitive.
They have to.
So, but I see them. I see them winning like like I said, the lowest 12, the highest 14. I see them going to smacking whoever that we face in the NFC Championship. Hopefully, we get the number one seed, so it's at our place, and we're gonna go to the Super Bowl. As far as us winning or losing it, I won't be able to tell you that. I would just be happy to fucking be there. I'm just saying.
Well, your only rabbit's foot is you got Eminem.
Eminem. Which
No, I
one?
said your rabbit's foot is Eminem. So
Marshall
Oh, yeah.
Mathers.
Okay, gotcha.
It's going to be Eminem and Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl.
oh please not Taylor Swift. Jesus Christ, I'll shut it off.
I hope Eminem goes over there and beats Tyler.
I pray to God she's not a halftime show
Hey
this year.
George,
Anyways, Will, I got to get Will's take, and then I'll give mine, and then we can do some parting shots before we leave. All right, Will.
So I think this was a phenomenal offseason for the
Bart.
Lions. Jeremy got me sold on meth. What?
On meth. What?
I thought someone said something. Matthew Betts. Jeremy got me sold on that guy. I love the draft with Mahogany. You got Arnold. You got Simone Vaki. And then you got Laporta, who killed it last year. You got Raw. You got Gibbs, Montgomery, Goff. And then, it's been a really, I would say, the best offseason for any team. With that being said, I got the Lions between 11 and 13 wins. I got them at 12.
Okay. Well, because of, like we said, all the teams in this division has improved, and it's going to take what happens outside of the division. Because I think every single team in this division can go 3-3, win their home games and lose their away games. I think it's a very much a possibility because all the teams are that improved. And because of that, if we go 3-3, that means we're not 4-2. If we're not 4-2, there's a possibility of winning 11 games. But I'm not going to put us anything below 11. My feeling has moved all the way to 14 because I only see 3 games that we should not be able to win. Looking at the schedule, there's 3 games. As soon as I looked at the schedule, I said lost, 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 and I'm not going to name them because we'll do that later on the round table talk in another day. But I think it's 11-14, and the off season we took what was the weakest room, and on paper right now it looks like it's one of the stronger rooms on our roster, and that's our secondary. I just think it's going to come down to the Lions and Packers, and everybody else is battling for third or fourth. As much as I hate to tell you that, Mike, I think that's what's coming down to.
As much as I want to disagree with you, I firmly agree with you. We don't want to admit it as a Vikings family that we're in a rebuild year, and we really are. Right now it is going to be the Packers and the Lions for the next probably 2 years, and then after that we'll rebuttal to what it is. And unfortunately, it's just a harsh reality of a rebuild team. We're kind of stuck in where we are.
Amen. So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming on here and talking football with me. I hope you all have enjoyed the show. I hope you had fun doing it. If any of you have your own shows, go ahead and plug it now. I'll start with Jordan because I know he does his own show.
I used to do my own show. I don't do anything right now, but I think I am going to start back up in a couple of months. I think I'm going to start about a couple of weeks before the season. I'll let you guys know then, though.
Okay. Keegan, I know you're a part of this. Go ahead and shout yourself out.
Not really much right now. Just
Well, you're
focusing
back
on work.
You said you could show up, and you showed up. That's a win.
And also, hey, Jordan, when you brought up Taylor Swift, I was say, don't say her name 3 times, or she's going to show up behind you.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Mouth.
And also,
Hey.
I'd like to bring up something because of the Lions. So, Travis Kelce came out and said, Sam Laporta, I would say right now, the best tight end is Kelce. He came out and said that Laporta could be his heir.
Not
Come on,
surprised.
LaPlaya, let's do it.
I don't know about all that. I just hope that Travis Kelce don't get Taylor Swift pregnant, so we got to look at baby bump bullshit for the whole season.
Amen to that.
She is still on the second year of her Eras tour, so I believe she's using a contraceptive. At least I hope so.
Let's pray to God, guys. Let's pray to God.
But I didn't know because Travis Kelce totally changed the way he looked when he got with Swift. You remember he looked all shaggy on the sidelines in week 1, and then
Well,
we found
yeah.
out
Yeah,
Taylor Swift,
Now,
and he all cleaned up the
Well, he's
next
with
week.
the superstar now. He can't look bummy.
well,
Well,
yeah.
remember,
Now he's wearing skinny jeans and wingtips for fuck's sake.
Right.
Well,
I wonder if she got him into pegging.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised. That's yeah.
Did you guys hear me turn down coming on the wide receiver show or whatever?
That's coming out
I didn't
soon.
hear that.
Yeah,
I guarantee you, if Kansas City does bad this year, bye Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I guarantee you, if they do bad this year, they won't let them schedule the Chiefs' schedule around her concert schedule. She is going to be in attendance at 14 games this season, guys.
What's the Chiefs doing bad? Not making the Super Bowl?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a good valid point.
That's
But,
fair.
What is they're not doing bad? Making the AFC Championship or going through the Super Bowl? That's a down year for them.
Yeah, that's a down year for them.
They're like the Patriots in 07.
The Chiefs are penciling in their name under the three-peat right now. I'm just putting it to you like that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 3-1 right now in Super Bowl since Pat Mahomes been there.
Yeah.
Yep, that's true.
I-
Hey guys,
0-2 against golf.
hey guys, I just want to tell you, this is my first time I've been on this show. I really appreciate the opportunity. If I can hop on here with your next session, I sure would appreciate it. You guys have got a lot of knowledge, and it's fun to talk about everything that we love for real.
So now that the reviews are done, because I always say the AFC North and the NFC North for last because, that's our division, the NFC North. I do that for a reason. That way, just before camp start and everything, we get these way too bold early predictions and everything else out of the way before we even know what the actual starting roster is. Because that's when the proof gets into the pudding. But once the season starts and the game starts rolling around, when I have people on, after I do the 3 top news stories throughout the week, we actually go through and predict winners and losers for every game on the NFL schedule on a Wednesday night because they don't have games before Thursday.
and it's so much fun, always.
I have been blessed, though, in the last 3 years. I am at 72% right.
Yeah.
And I
So
don't
is this going to be kind of like a GPS type thing? Like I don't know if anybody watches anybody on YouTube, but Grassy Perna.
Yeah, where we just go over the schedule and we say wins and losses, and you can keep track of it for yourself how you're doing throughout the season, and it's a lot of fun. But I am sitting at 459 subscribers right now. We're pushing to get to 500. If I get 41 more subscribers, I don't care what team you're for, because my co-host who could not be here tonight because he worked too late. He actually makes sports bet memorabilia stuff. That custom Justin Jefferson helmet, I got that from him.
Mhm.
So he actually does painting and all that stuff, just like I got this flash of Barry Sanders here. I got the Gaon Ra. I've got every single the Tua one that I got is badass. I just wish it was a lion.
Now you just need a hawk too.
Yeah, I need a TJ Hawk so I can talk to him and put him next to me.
Tua.
Spit on that thing.
Speaking of
Right.
Hawk, did you guys see the latest sports figurine coming out in the comic world?
I did.
The Hawk Tua down. There you
It's
go.
the Hawk Tua girl. Realistic spit on that thing action.
This is the
They got a
downfall of
sponsor.
society. Come on now.
Jesus Christ.
What's
This
funny
is
is she just did an interview with a local Nashville after she got pulled up at the Zach Bryan thing, and they asked her about what happened ever since then, and she actually was a kindergarten, either assistant teacher or a school teacher at a grade school. They fired her that Monday after that Saturday night
That
drunken
was the
episode.
wrong one. That was the wrong one,
yeah,
JB.
that's not
That's the
her.
wrong. Was that the case? There
She's
was a
not a teacher.
Yeah, she's not a teacher.
No, she was an assistant there at the school, though.
No,
She didn't get
No,
fired.
No, she was interviewed. That's completely
That's Kate
false.
Wellington. Her
Yeah,
name
that
is
was a
Kate
different
Wellington.
person.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
different person.
she's not a teacher associated with any
They got
school at
fired.
all.
She's
Yeah.
21. I
Yeah,
think she
Yeah,
just
she's
graduated.
she's 21. She ain't nowhere near teacher age.
I know she did lose her job, and she said the next day she was contacted by a local hat maker, and she signed the Hawk Tua girl to hats, and she's making 65K a month now just for signing her name to there. And she's so popular that JSA has made her an authorized signature, and it can be certified,
All
just
right.
like
I mean,
an
Now
for
you put
athlete.
for
on
I'll
the
say it
link.
again. This is the
hey
downfall of our society.
for $65,000 a month, I'm gonna spit on that motherfucker too.
Hey,
I think it's all
hey,
gonna come up
hey,
with their own little
hey,
thing.
Pornhub, you got your next star right there.
Oh goodness.
But
All right.
my final take is the same final take I do every show I do. Is that try every day to be a better person than you were the day before, because that's the only way we can make the world a better place. Unless you're talking shit to a rival team base, because then that's fun. But anyways,
I will.
Hey, I got one thing to say too. This is for the local area. I do want to shout out congratulations to Bernie Smilovich for retiring from WDIB as one of the best sports anchor broadcasters ever in this area to me. Awesome guy.
yep.
And so I
And
want to send congratulations out to his retirement. Well deserved, sir.
I thought it
Well,
was funny because I saw that video that he did saying thank you to Detroit and to Washington D.C. and they put that clip from Washington D.C. when the girl called him by the wrong name on his first
Yeah,
night on the job. She goes,
yeah,
"So Mike, let's have you go to sports." He goes, "Well, it's Bernie, but the sports are."
yeah. He had
Hey,
that porn mustache.
yeah, I do have one question since I am in that NFC thing on Facebook. Would you guys please be so kind as to invite me to the next group meeting like we have like this? I really enjoyed it. It was a good time.
I do this every week.
I'm right there with you.
I do this every week where we just talk about the news and we
yes.
talk about the stuff that's going out, and I try to do it broad based about the NFL on this show. That's why
Yeah.
it's called the
Hey,
NFL Table Talk.
I'll
And
add you to our Facebook group on Facebook.
yeah, and I'm a Panther fan first. Like Lions
I'm
is my
sorry.
second team. Yeah, I know. Like first team
Oh,
sucks.
speaking
This
of
Yeah,
which,
is
Will, when you
hey
said we're gonna do predictions, I was just thinking that. I was like, how many wins are we gonna project the
hey
Patriots to win?
did they as a Panthers fan did they send you season tickets for free and a check for $5,000?
I burned the tickets, but I'll keep the $5,000.
but anyways, there is some news about the Panthers that I do want to talk about. It's the only news that I have this week.
What,
The
Bryce Young got
mayor
called?
the mayor of Charlotte is refusing the $650 million build of the stadium. And odds are, if he doesn't change his mind in 2 years when the contract is done, the owner is talking about moving the team to St. Louis.
Oh, Mm.
So there's a chance there may not be a Carolina Panthers in 2 years.
Oh, Detroit, here we come.
St. Louis
Always
Panthers.
been my
There
sons.
you go.
Yeah, that don't even make sense.
St. Louis Panthers.
James Burgess
But
said,
you know what I can't understand about this whole situation, though? These owners got loads of damn money. Okay, if you own a football team, it's your responsibility. If you're going to create a new stadium, put a new stadium up there. You get plenty of revenue from the people that come into the stadium. Do that.
Well, Carolina,
Stop making the fans pay for the fucking stadium.
Yeah.
yep. Carolina also came out and said today that they're not going to pay their portion of that federal lawsuit with NFL Sunday Ticket, and you can go ahead and sue us because you ain't getting nothing out of it.
I've
Well,
been telling people this for a while. I am not a Tepper fan. Jeremy
Well-
knows it. I can't stand the dude.
Hey, the only good thing about Carolina Panthers this year is you could go to the games cheaper than NFL ticket.
yes, this is
Yeah.
true.
This is
When
true.
it got real bad and they were facing the other bottom tier team that they had to face that game,
Oh, my
they
God.
announced that on Ticketmaster, they had tickets for the second and third level at 48 cents a piece, and they couldn't fill the stand.
I had to
So-
work. I would have been there easily.
So, hey, my dad is a pipeliner, and he was working out in Carolina, and he actually went to a game out there, sat 40-yard line, 3 rows up, Carolina side, and he got his ticket for $12.
Yep.
That's insane.
He
Well,
paid more for parking than he did for his ticket.
That's sad.
Jeremy,
Well, that's why they're
did you,
refusing to pay. They're pay their share of the lawsuit because they don't have enough money to do that.
So you guys get to laugh one more time because I got one more sponsor to talk about because this one paid for their spot. It is my place of employment, which is Brandon Service at the corner of South Grand Traverse and West Atherton Road here in wonderful Flint, Michigan, where the tires are good, but the water's shit. Used tires start at $40 a piece. And if you need new tires, please call 810-233-8230 and ask for George Red or myself, Jeremy, also known as Smoking Jeremy B, for your quote. Have a great night, everybody. I think this is great. And here comes James Burgess trying to make Will upset again. Tepper is
Hey,
also a very
No.
that's great. That's great. You work for
Nope, I
automotive.
agree.
So do I.
That's awesome. I have been a tire guy for 15 years of my life. I've also ran an oil change shop at one time. I love cars.
I've been in automotive industry for 25 years. I've been with Christian Brothers Automotive for 9 years, and I'll end up retiring from here.
That's a good place. I like them.
There is
Yeah.
some news
Oh, what?
behind Saquon and Giants. Bleacher Report is now posting on their TikToks the behind the scenes of the Saquon.
Well, it was investigated by the NFL, and the NFL said they found nothing. So that's done. They are already
Yeah.
done with the tampering thing. The only team
Yeah.
that got hit was the Falcons.
Did anybody watch? I know it's probably not the team you want to watch, but did anybody watch Hard Knocks with the Giants?
No.
No.
I haven't had Netflix yet. I haven't renewed it.
Oh, okay, because they just came out with. I think,
Well, that's on HBO.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they came out with
Yeah.
episode 1 last.
All right,
night.
hey fellas, my wife is hollering at me. She made chili rellenos for dinner tonight. I've been on here too long. It's getting cold, so I wish you guys all the best. Thank you so much for allowing me to hang out with you tonight. Please send me an invite. I'd love to do this again.
You'll be on
Always.
Wednesday if you want.
I'm
All
actually going to jump on board with that. I got to get taking care of my family here too. All I'm going to say is this: go pack, go, and have a good night.
I just
Low
puked in
pack,
my
low,
mouth,
I
but
heard
we're
you.
gonna say skull. Bye,
Good night,
guys.
gents.
Have a good night, everybody.
You as
And
well. Thanks again.
everybody in the chat. We have 30 people watching, and what's amazing is that because Restream doesn't allow the comments from Twitter to come through, and I apologize to that. I can't acknowledge the fact you guys have been messaging. We've had 25 people watching the entire show from Twitter. Thank you, because I am approaching 1,000 followers on Twitter. So share it out there, get other fans involved, because I don't just talk Lions, but I do 7 of the 8 shows I do a week.
Hey, Hey, we just got to put them horns up. Skull. Y'all have a good night.
You
too,
have a good
man.
night. Thank you,
Bye,
Mike.
guys.
We
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
to
Bye.
Jordan. Thank you to Keegan. Thank you to B and Will. Real quick, before I sign off, shout out your channel.
WVogs18, I collect sports cards and comics, and I do lives every so often, and Jeremy has appeared in the past.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And like I said, anybody who's a fan, I don't care what team you are, because I try to give realistic takes. I try not to be a total dick to other teams when I'm on my show, because that's not going to help me. What's going to help me is getting other fan bases to watch my show, because I want it to grow. I want to be big. I want to be one of those guys. I can care less about making the money. I just want to be one of those guys that are notarized, because I am a published journalist about sports. I write for the South Florida Tribune that owns the Motor City Tribune. I literally was at the draft this year, and that's my coup de grace. There it is, my NFL press credentials, and I love the fact that I can show that and with pride, because I've been writing for 3 years, and it was an amazing run to be able to get to that. And now it looks like I'm going to be at a major golf event, which is down in Detroit on August 26th. And rumor is I'm going to get to go see the Super Bowl on Media Row, boys.
Let's
This year.
go.
Are you gonna go to training camp as media?
Uh, I haven't received my packet yet. I have submitted for it. If I get my packet, then yes, I'm going. But I will go to the August 1st free one for all fans, no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't care if I got to take the day off work. I'm going to go see our boys practice in 11 on 11.
Mhm.
Heck yeah.
But thank
Right
you
on.
for watching, everybody.